Hello, UCM doctors, and welcome back to this special edition of the UCM podcast. In this special podcast that we have done specifically for you, if you are in practice growth stage 1, you're going to learn about UCM Start, how to build the foundation for a thriving upper cervical practice. We're going to talk about why most stage 1 docs stay stuck and how to build a practice that lasts. No matter how long you've been in practice growth stage 1, there is a path forward for you. And for those of you who may be new to our podcast, practice growth stage 1 is if you're collecting less than $20,000 per month and you're in that initial stage of growth. And so let's talk about what most docs want, right? Everyone generally wants a thriving practice. No one goes into upper cervical practice and says, I really want to struggle for my whole career. That's not usually anyone's goal. But most upper cervical doctors don't struggle because they aren't skilled clinicians. They struggle because they build in the wrong order. They're chasing growth before their foundation is in place. A lot of docs that we've seen in stage 1 have difficulty focusing on the things that matter the most in order to grow. It's the most critical time really in an upper cervical practice. And the biggest thing is that a lot of docs make mistakes that really cost them. And the thing that matters the most at this stage is establishing some baseline systems, some foundational systems that we've been able to really work on over the past 14 years of UCM existing, and really getting to the place where we have a proven path that grows a stable practice consistently and can help doctors move out of practice growth stage 1 and into more stability in practice growth stage 2, where you're collecting more than $20,000 per month. You have a CA that helps you, and you're building towards growth stage 3, where you actually have an associate and you can take vacations, which if for those of you in practice growth stage 1, right now that there is no way you can take a vacation, but your practice closes and you have no income coming in. Right. And so really we want to help you, doc. If you're in practice growth stage 1 and you just started in practice and, maybe it's just your first few years in practice, or maybe you've been in that stage for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years or longer. We want to help you as long as you want help, because that's the key piece. If you want help, we have a clear path for you that's worked over and over and over with doctors who have been in practice for a few years or for a decade or longer. We've seen it over and over. If you apply the things that I'm going to talk about with UCM Start, it works. It just does. But the biggest issue that we've found with docs in growth stage 1 is getting out of your own way, really, is what we've seen. Is a lot of times, in order to move from where you are to where you want to go, you have to be willing to listen. You have to be willing to change and adapt what you're doing in order to go in a new direction. Because you can't build a good, thriving practice on a weak foundation. Every great structure starts from the ground up. And when you skip foundational steps, it doesn't save time. It just guarantees more and more problems in the future. And so building a really solid practice is like building a house. You've got to have the foundation first, the foundation of mindset and habits and a mission focus. And these types of things, you can't get away from these. These are musts. Every practice that is a thriving practice, that is, a practice that's making huge impacts in their community, started with these foundational things. And so once you have those foundational aspects of building a practice, then you can add more structure. You can add more team building. You can add more accountability. You can add more to your core systems to get them more and more dialed in. And then from there, then you can scale. You can add more promotional tools and marketing and growth focuses, and having more accountability to systems and how you're doing things and those types of things, so you can expand. But it all starts with that initial foundation. And that's so many times what we see with practice growth stage 1 docs is they're not focusing on the foundation. They're skipping ahead to the structure or the scaling and those types of things. And they're missing out on the thing that matters the most in order to do the other things. And so who is a stage 1 doc? And it's the early growth of the early phase of upper cervical practice. It's really where passion meets the hard reality of building a business from scratch, right? If you're brand new in practice, obviously this is where every practice starts. As I mentioned, it's, you're collecting less than $20,000. That's the collections number that defines practice growth stage 1. But also there's wearing every hat. That's another part of it too. If you're doing everything in the practice, if you have no CA, no matter how much you're collecting, you're still in practice growth stage 1. Because the whole point of practice growth stage 1 is a limitation of ability of the practice to grow beyond you. And so even if you're really, you got a lot of great systems in place, but you have no one to actually help you in the practice do the other things that are required within a upper cervical practice, which is what we call a CA or an upper, a chiropractic assistant, then we would still consider you to be in practice growth stage 1. And so the key with that is, getting that CA hired is a key piece to creating more systems within the practice and more, more of an ability for the practice to grow. Practice growth stage 1 docs typically have issues with consistent new patients, have limited systems in place, and often just feel overwhelmed, can be uncertain on what to work on and when, and chasing different things. So the reality of stage 1 is it isn't about working harder. Most docs at this stage are already working hard. It's about working smarter by learning an entirely new skill set, which is how to think and operate like a business owner. Becoming a business owner, no matter whether or not you have anyone in the practice with you or not, if you have no CAs, you still have to start to think differently, start thinking from, just a clinician to someone who is a CEO, right? Running a practice, and even in a one-person practice. And that starts with saying, you know what, I need to be able to learn how to lead others. And that starts with hiring your first CA. But also just creating consistency, replacing reactive habits with predictable daily and weekly rhythms. When you get that consistency in your life and in your practice, it makes a huge difference. And then you can start to really build repeatable systems, processes that work the same every time without you doing everything manually. And this will help to avoid expensive mistakes. You want to learn what not to do early so you don't lose time, money, and momentum. And a lot of times what we see with stage 1 docs is they're just trying to scale before building. And it's a key thing to understand. Like when you're ambitious, you're trying to really do a lot of things, but a lot of times you're trying to do things that aren't the best thing for you to be doing, right? And maybe you'll see other docs who have very successful practices. They're doing something. You try to do the same thing, and it just doesn't work for you the same way. can you resonate with that, doc? Or maybe something as simple as just the way that you've hired. Maybe you were collecting $20,000 per month and you decided you wanted to hire an associate, or you are collecting $25,000 per month and you still haven't hired a CA, right? There's these types of hiring either too early or too late can be an issue, or just investing in expensive technology that isn't the greatest priority in that stage of practice. And so just a lot of different things involved with stage one that can get you stuck there. I mean, another mistake is just focusing on promotion without conversion, right? Sometimes it's just like, oh, I just need more new patients. I just need more leads. But then when you get somebody that's going to send you a bunch of leads or whatever, and you don't have a good process in place for following up with leads, for having a new patient phone call, for your consultation exam and report, so that you convert those leads into an actual new patient who has a care plan, who can get results in your practice, then it's not going to solve your problems. Another mistake is just operating without numbers. I've talked to doctors before who are in stage one who will say things like, oh, I don't even want to look at the numbers. I just want to take care of patients. And it's just, you can't do that. You can't have a practice. You can't have a business of any type and not understand your numbers. And so that doctor that told me that was out of practice within a year. It's just not possible to have a business and not know your numbers. And so the basic numbers of an upper cervical practice, like new patients and your conversion rate of new patients to care plans, and your patient visit average, and your ROI on the money you're spending for marketing, if you are. These are some basic numbers. There's other numbers, obviously, that matter too. And then another mistake is just trying to do everything yourself, right? As I mentioned, there's a lot of stage one docs who are they've decided that I'm just going to have a low overhead practice, and I'm just going to, I'm not going to have any CAs. I'm going to just do everything myself. I'm just going to run it all. And that, it sounds great. I'm going to keep my overhead low. Yeah, but you're also keeping your life limited because you have no ability to close the practice and go on vacation because there's no one else to run it. And you are literally doing everything in the practice. And that will lead to more and more stress. It is very difficult to have a consistent practice in that situation. And it also isn't preparing you to be a leader, which you ultimately are. You are an upper cervical practice owner, and that makes you a leader. And so being able to delegate to others is a skill set that you want to be able to develop. And so, why do doctors stay stuck is they have no roadmap, right? Without a clear path, every decision feels like a guess. Frequently, they're chasing shiny objects. You're chasing, in practice growth stage one, you're constantly switching strategies before anyone actually has any time to compound. There's a lot of inconsistent execution with practice growth stage one, maybe starting strong on something, but not finishing it, or just not following through on things, effort without sustained follow through. And a lot of times there's just no accountability, no outside perspective or structure to keep commitments on track, especially if you don't even have a CA. They can't even hold you accountable to the things that you're saying you want to do. And then just sometimes it's just getting the wrong stage advice, right? Like trying to do things that other more mature practices could do, but they aren't right for you. And so what systems actually matter in stage one? Well, number one, consistent new patient generation, meaning a predictable, repeatable source of new patient flow every month, right? So from a lead generated to a lead converted to the new patient process when they actually come into the practice. What's that experience like? What's the consultation like? What's the exam or the report? And the care plan conversion, right? what's converting, people into actual paying patients, and then retaining them, right? Taking them and keeping them there and helping them to get the care and the help that they need. And then having some weekly scorecards that you look at in weekly team meetings. And, as you and your CA, your first CA that you've hired, you start looking at metrics together. You start tracking your finances. You start looking at, okay, what are we really doing as it relates to our collections and our overhead and all that kind of stuff. Like, this stuff is just some of the priority of what needs to happen with a stage 1 practice that we really help doctors with. And it really comes down to, for stage 1, is the power of simplicity. Most successful stage 1 practices don't win by doing more. They win by doing the right things simply, consistently, and repeatedly over time. Complexity is the enemy of momentum in an early stage practice. And so what we help doctors do who are in practice growth stage 1 is to simplify. Get things down to the things that matter the most, the 1, 2, 3 things. That's it. Let's just focus on those things. Simple systems, repeated consistently over a long period of time. And when you do that consistently, what happens is you quickly move out of practice growth stage 1. Like I could give you example after example of, Dr. Gregory Jean-Pierre started with us after 10 years plus in practice, collecting about $10,000 per month, has 5x his practice, consistently collecting, $40,000, $50,000 per month in collections. And literally just working with him on simple things consistently over time helped him get that breakthrough. And Dr. Greg Dutson, similar, 3-4x his practice starting in practice growth stage 1. Dr. Mercedes Cook, double the practice in 1 year. These are doctors who we've worked with who, started in practice growth stage 1. We work with them and help them to just focus on the things that matter most. And you move out of that stage quickly if you just do the simple things that are necessary. And so that's what UCM Start is all about. This is our membership for you. We've created all these memberships that are specific to the practice growth stages. And we have one that is specific for practice growth stage 1. It's only for you, doc. If you're in practice growth stage 1, this is for you. It's built specifically for upper cervical specialists who are serious about getting their foundation right, so they never have to rebuild it again, right? We want to help you get out of that stage. We want to get out of the surviving stage and into more of a stability stage where you can be able to breathe a little more. Where, when you're collecting consistently over $20,000 per month with a CA in the practice, it helps you to breathe a little more, right? You're not done with the practice, but it's going to be a lot better place than you are right now if you're in practice growth stage 1. And UCM Start's not a generic program. It was designed from the ground up we've been doing this for years. We've been building this up and getting this membership in place that has everything that you need. It's built for you, for your unique challenges, for the economics of your practice as well. So you can afford this, right? If you're in practice growth stage 1, you can afford our UCM Start. We've built it so that you can. And we will help you with the opportunities that you have. And what it's all about is going to help you build that right foundation. Start with the systems that actually move the needle at stage 1. It's going to help you avoid the common mistakes, skip the costly detours most doctors take, right? Install proven systems that implement what's already working in practices like yours, so we can reach consistent growth faster, which, really what we wanted to help you do, Doc, is just shorten the learning curve with a clear stage-specific roadmap. So what all does UCM Start include? Every element of UCM Start was chosen for one reason. It helps stage 1 doctors get results faster with less wasted effort. This is a benefits first program. It's built around what actually moves practices forward. So what does it include? Lots of things, but here's some of the most important parts of UCM Start. Number one is it's going to give you a growth roadmap. This is a clear, custom plan for your practice, for your situation, so you always know the right next step, right? It's a prioritized list. Give you, like, you're going to get a clear assessment of where your practice is, and then prioritization of, all right, we need to do this first, and then this, and so forth. Because not only are we going to give you that roadmap, but we're also going to give you expert guidance and accountability. Weekly meetings with you. We do weekly practice growth sessions where we give you the guidance that you need with those regular check-ins to help keep you on track and keep you executing on the things that will help you move forward. And then we're going to help you with proven systems, right? We're bringing in all of our tested digital, internal, external, new patient generating strategies built specifically for upper cervical practices. And then we're bringing in all of our AI and automation tools for you so that you have smart AI and automation that will save time. It'll reduce your administrative burden and it'll amplify your efforts. Success comes from the right next step. The fastest growing upper cervical practices don't succeed because they try to do everything. They succeed because they stay relentlessly focused on the right next step for their current stage, and they execute on it well before moving on. So the first step when you join UCM Start, when you become a member with us, is we're going to identify exactly where you are with your practice. We're going to have, during our onboarding process, you're going to do a full scorecard and checklist on your practice. All these areas that we have identified are really important. You're going to be able to score your practice on these different areas so we know where you are. And then we'll be able to help prioritize from there to identify the next step, the most important, highest leverage action for your specific practice. And then we're going to help you to execute on it consistently, right? Repeat what we're doing until results compound into real momentum. And that's the goal, is to advance you to the next stage as quickly as possible. Hopefully within months. That's the goal. We want to see you move out of practice growth stage 1 in 2, 3, 4, 5, at the most 6 months. We want to graduate to that next level with a stronger foundation than ever before. And that's how momentum is built. Not by doing more, but by doing the right things in the right order. And the thing is, once we build your foundation with you with UCM Start, we have our UCM Align to continue your progress, right? And eventually Elite, if your practice gets to that level. It's the whole point is our memberships grow with your practice. But with the UCM Start, you get your practice growth roadmap, your stage specific tools, your client success guide, in-office patient education slideshow, ready to use internal and external marketing kits, equipment discounts on all things that you need for the practice, like CBCT and digital x-ray and tables and so forth. You get your full AI SEO system, so you rank on ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and Siri and so forth and Google and everything. And patient reactivation campaigns to bring those patients back that haven't been in the practice in a while, and a whole lot more. And so this is just the tip of the iceberg of understanding what the UCM Start is all about. And so every thriving practice started exactly where you are, Doc. The difference isn't talent, it's building the right foundation before trying to scale. The path forward is clear with a roadmap and a guide. And that's what we are going to provide for you when you join us here with your UCM membership that's been designed for you in practice growth stage 1. You're going to join us and we're going to help you. You're going to know where you are and you're going to know how to take the next step consistently. And we're going to walk with you through it. And that's how an upper cervical practice goes from uncertain and stuck to stable, growing, and built to last. Build your foundation with the UCM Start membership, and that will help you grow with confidence, stage by stage, step by step. You can get started at ucmgrow.com/start. That's ucmgrow.com/start. This is designed for you, Doc. If you're in practice growth stage 1, and as we always say around here, go team upper cervical.